Welcome to Times of Refreshing. Take a moment to pause, breathe, and be spiritually nourished as we journey together through this week's devotional. We're in a powerful series called The Power Within, exploring the ministry of the Holy Spirit in the lives of believers. Our focus, the book of Acts, an incredible account of how ordinary group of people with no wealth, status, or technology became a movement that turned the world upside down. Picture this. Christianity began with a handful of followers. No political influence, no media platforms, no vast resources. Yet, it spread from Jerusalem to Rome and beyond. What was their secret? The power within. The Holy Spirit was not just present, He was the driving force behind everything they did. And here's the good news. The same Holy Spirit is at work in us today. And when we truly understand His ministry, we too can walk in boldness, purpose, and supernatural power. As we journey through this series, we encourage you to dive into the book of Acts and discover for yourself how the Spirit moves in the life of every believer. Now, let's get into today's session.
Welcome back to Times of Refreshing. Today, we're diving into an incredible topic, the matchless power of the Holy Spirit.
That's right. The Holy Spirit is truly powerful. He can do in an instant what would take us a lifetime. Just think about the dramatic transformation of Saul, for example.
Yes, that's a great example. Saul, as we know, was a fierce persecutor of the early church. He was absolutely determined to wipe out Christianity. But in a single moment, through the power of the Holy Spirit, his life was completely turned around.
And just like that, Saul became Paul, one of the greatest apostles. That's the kind of power that the Holy Spirit has. He can transform lives in the blink of an eye.
Absolutely. Now, when we talk about the Holy Spirit's power, we often focus on his miracles
and the healings
and wonders. And rightly so. They're incredible displays of his work. But there's another side of his power that we often overlook. And that's the power of judgment.
Oh, that's a tough one, Matt. The Holy Spirit doesn't just empower us, He also convicts us. Let's take a look at an example from the book of Acts. So Acts chapter 5 verse 1 to 4, where we read about Ananias and Sapphira.
Right, and let me read it. It says, "But a certain man named Ananias, with Sapphira his wife, sold a possession, and he kept back part of the proceeds, his wife also being aware of it, and brought a certain part and laid it at the apostles' feet. But Peter said, 'Ananias, why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Spirit and keep back part of the price of the land for yourself? While it remained, was it not your own? And after it was sold, was it not in your own control? Why have you conceived this thing in your hearts? You have not lied to men, but to God.'"
So here's the context. In the early church, many believers were selling their property and giving all their proceeds to the church. Ananias and Sapphira decided to do the same, but they kept a portion for themselves and lied about it.
Yes, and Peter, filled with the discernment of the Holy Spirit, knew exactly what they had done. The Holy Spirit knew their hearts and he revealed the truth.
This is such a powerful reminder that the Holy Spirit sees everything. He exposes deception and protects us from being misled. He doesn't just work in visible miracles, He also works in hidden ways, revealing the truth when we least expect it.
Exactly. But here's the big question. If Ananias and Sapphira were part of the early church and had experienced the presence of the Holy Spirit, how did they end up in this tragic situation?
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's possible that others who gave all they had were led by the Holy Spirit. They were empowered to do so. But Ananias and Sapphira, on the other hand, may not have been following the Holy Spirit's guidance. They might have been acting out of human motives, seeking recognition or praise.
That's a dangerous path, isn't it? They were pretending to do something they hadn't truly committed to. They wanted the approval, but didn't have the divine strength to follow through.
Exactly, and their mistake wasn't just about withholding money, it was the deception. It was pretending to do something they hadn't genuinely heard from the Holy Spirit to do. And that's something we all need to be careful about.
Absolutely. It's dangerous to assume we've heard from the Holy Spirit when we haven't. And it's just as dangerous to think that no one sees our hidden motives. The Holy Spirit sees all.
So let's take a moment to reflect. What's really driving us today? Are we being led by the Holy Spirit, or are we acting out of personal ambition? Have we genuinely heard from Him, or are we assuming His will?
The Holy Spirit empowers, transforms and convicts us. But most of all, He calls us to honesty, integrity and obedience.
Let's make sure that our hearts are truly aligned with His leading. We want to be people who act in truth, with the Holy Spirit guiding every decision.
Absolutely. Well, that's all we have for today. We hope this conversation challenges you to reflect on your own actions and your relationship with the Holy Spirit.
Remember, the Holy Spirit isn't just there to guide us in good times. He's here to convict us and lead us in every aspect of our lives. So let's keep listening to His voice.
Thank you for joining us today on Times of Refreshing. We'll see you next time.